Philadelphia's a very historical city. This is Stephen Girard. It's a statue of him. There's memorials, monuments everywhere. The question is, what purpose do memorials and markers and monuments serve? You all walked in here and you all heard of Stephen Girard. You drive down Girard Avenue, you look for houses in Girard Estates, you drive past the Girard Elementary School, like Girard, Girard, Girard. And there's an impact. It's unconscious, but it's like, this guy must be somebody, right? And we're gonna learn who he was. Anyone wanna just venture why do you think this stuff is here?
To remind us who's in charge.
Oh, yeah. To talk about who's important in history, who's worth remembering. So now we're gonna see another marker, another statue. Lindsay Shu, he's on the 10th, so if you walk up 10th Street in Chinatown and you walk over Vine Street, and Vine Street, remember, is land that was Chinatown's that was taken. He's there. Why? Lindsay Shu was from an area of China called Fuzhou, and Fuzhou is where, yay, Fuzhou. So Fujianese people, like all over the world, he is a hero. He's a hero because when China had banned opium and made it illegal, the British and also the Americans continued to sell opium. Very addictive, very debilitating for the population. So they try to outlaw this drug, and the emperor sends Lindsay Shu to the port in Canton and says, you need to deal with this, you need to get the British out, you need to get those drugs out, you need to stop this. So he goes, he confiscates all the illegal opium that's at the port. It takes him 5 days, 24 hours a day, to burn the opium that he found. That's how much was there that was being illegally brought into China. He's recognized as having defied and fought back against European aggression. Britain declared war, China lost the war. That's how the British got Hong Kong, that's how the Portuguese got Macau. One of the things that they got as a result, unlimited access to dealing drugs in China. And Lindsay Shu was exiled to a far corner of China because the British said he had to be exiled. I like this statue, and I like this story. The real story is a Fujianese guy who had some money said, here's a hero from Fuzhou, I want him on the plaza. So, but I like the backstory better. Because what better place to put a statue of someone that defied and fought European aggression than on the Vine Street Expressway, which is where our land was taken.
When I was in middle school and high school, I studied things like this, but I knew them because I was reading them on my own. My concern is now in some states that are trying to ban certain books, where does that leave our young people and future generations?
Well, I think precisely why the anti-CRT stuff started picking up was in the aftermath of the George Floyd uprisings, because people started saying we need to learn real history. And then that became very threatening. And in those states where there's CRT, and in Pennsylvania, like you can go 5 miles in any direction and you know this stuff is not being taught. You know the same stuff is being taught that I learned when I was a child. History is powerful. Who gets to tell it? Who gets to build things? This is a monument of Girard. This is the description. He's standing portrait of Girard, dressed in a long jacket, button vest, high-neck shirt, and a tie around his neck. He stands in a casual position with his proper left hand on his waist, his proper right foot slightly forward. He holds his glasses in his proper right hand. He stands on a tall square base adorned on the front with a carving of Girard's famous ship, the Water Witch. The sides of the base are adorned with bronze plaques symbolizing Girard's career as a merchant, a mariner, and a philanthropist. And this is the inscription on the statue. Philadelphia's greatest philanthropist, erected by alumni of Girard College and the people of this city and Commonwealth in 1897. Now, this statue used to sit outside City Hall. It is now sitting behind the art museum, but it's still up. Girard Park. There is also a Girard Park, by the way. It's between Shunk and Porter, 21st and 22nd. And there is a plaque in Girard Park. Merchant, financier, philanthropist, born in France. He came to this city in 1776. He gave strong support to both the first and second banks of the United States. By his will, he established Girard College, which opened in 1848. Gentilhomiere, located here, was his country house after 1797. Girard added the center and western sections of the house and operated a 583-acre farm here, hence Girard Estates.
On occasion, a true giant is forgotten, someone who changed the course of history, but whose name today is barely known, and whose accomplishments are little remembered. One such giant was a man called Stephen Girard. Stephen Girard, a Frenchman born of seafaring heritage, stepped onto the world stage at an auspicious time and in an auspicious place, 1776 in Philadelphia.
Stephen Girard is still considered one of the richest men in the history of the United States. And if his fortune were translated into current US dollars, he sits between Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos at $105 to $120 billion. John Jacob Astor, by the way, he made all his money off of opium dealing. Yeah, first multimillionaire. Okay, we're gonna go into small groups, and I'm gonna give you a reading. And as a group, you're gonna talk about what you see on that paper and answer some of the questions on the paper. And then here's your assignment. You're going to have to write a newspaper headline. Just like, you see headlines in any newspaper that kind of sums up your reading. And answer the question in your headline, who was Stephen Girard?
Tax fraud and other kinds of fraud and being bad to his workers.
It sends a message of who belongs in our community and city and who doesn't.
Not only was it illegal, immoral as well. I think immoral is even a stronger negative.
Related to slavery, produced by slavery, but not active slavery, which I'm sure that there's more.
We just go with that.
Yeah, that's
Is that too long for a headline?
How do you become a billionaire?
Yeah.
How do you become an oligarch?
So the top one's going to be Stephen Girard.
Girard defies laws, cheats workers and relatives, all in pursuit of profit.
Stephen Girard behind the scenes, an abusive, narcissistic, gaslighting, misogynist, exclamation mark, question mark.
Stephen Girard's slavery legacy on Earth.
Yeah.
Drugs, smuggling, money. Stephen Girard propagates opioid epidemic in China.
Stephen Girard's exploitation of blacks has no time limits.
Anybody know what this is? Other than, obviously, China. Called China because porcelain was so ubiquitous and porcelain came from China. This is Martha Washington's service, right? Martha Washington's China set. They service, whatever they call it. And this is a tea shop. So, fun fact, again, everybody heard of the Boston Tea Party? And what you learn is taxation without where did the tea come from? And how did they get the tea? Opium. And who started the Revolutionary War? Our billionaires, because they didn't want to have to pay taxes. Right? Taxation without representation. It was actually about control of the China trade. anything trading with China because they could do opium. The United States, the British got their opium from India, of course. That's why you colonize. They outlawed, what was something that Gandhi wasn't allowed to do besides get salt? What was the second thing? You see him sitting, and he is spinning. And what is he spinning? Cotton. And because cotton, the best cotton, came from India, and so the British outlawed cotton because where did they have mills? In Ireland. And where did they get the cotton from? Enslaved folks in America. So profit, 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 profit. So we bust the Indian cotton trade. We force them to grow opium, which of course you cannot eat, and it is not going to support your family. And we make a nice little profit all around. Americans got their opium from Turkey, Smyrna in Turkey, but they all had their opium sources. Okay, and actually Smyrna opium was rougher. It was more like crack, so yay, Girard, he was a crack dealer. Okay, next one.
So what you see here was actually a prison under his house in Philadelphia that held slaves. That's wild. And they only discovered it like 100 years after he passed,
He kept it hidden. Yeah. They were excavating and they found it.
Yeah. Like literally, in the heart of Philly, he was imprisoning 60, 100 people at a time, just underneath his house.
And those cells were tiny. They're tiny, and they found them with a manacle chain thing in the wall. So enslaved people were chained against the wall in preparation. Now, don't forget, Santo Domingo, Haiti, was where he was doing all his trading. The exact same dungeons were dug up on his plantation in Louisiana. And Louisiana has a town named after Stephen Girard, as well as a street. And I think it's the site of his former plantation. He actually told the overseer of his plantation in Louisiana to purchase slaves in his name because his reputation would be damaged in Philadelphia if he purchased them in Stephen Girard's name. So they were purchased by his overseer. So what happened was in his will, he said Girard College was for orphaned white boys. So in the 50s, there were some lawsuits to desegregate Girard College. And the court kept siding with the college saying, well, this was in the will. What can we do? It was his last will and testament. So it was the site of one of the largest and longest civil rights struggles in Philadelphia. I don't remember how long they were out there marching, but it was long. It was a long time. And it was so well known nationally that King came to speak to the marchers. And again, history that doesn't get told. So I think we got a little bit of a sense of Stephen Girard, a little bit. What you will read about is that he saved the United States because he had so much money that he could bail the U.S. out during the War of 1812. And what a great man he was that he used his money to support the U.S. in the War of 1812. The other thing that you will hear about him was that there was a yellow fever plague in Philadelphia. It was really horrible. And from everything I could read, he actually did go out there, risk being sick, tended to people, but only rich white people. When he died, he left his fortune to the city of Philadelphia, and most of it in the form of Girard Estates. So then all of a sudden he became a hero. And then all of a sudden you see streets named after him and statues being built. And that's Stephen Girard. And so I think part of the reason I wanted to do this is to understand, like, rich people don't get that rich unless something is going on. And I'm not talking about millionaires. Millionaires are very common now. I'm talking about billionaires, right? Like, and a lot of times we can never find it. How do you find this history? Not easy. Incredible amount of research, because it is in their interest to keep this history hidden. It is in their interest that you never discover the truth. Which is why the anti-CRT stuff going around the country is so dangerous, really dangerous. Because if you can continue to lie about history, like what Brian Stevens said, there can be no reconciliation. We can't reconcile what you're not even willing to talk about. And that applies to a whole lot of stuff these days. A whole lot of stuff. So, yeah.
So this also asks the question, how do we find out how the three owners of the 76ers, how did they become billionaires?
Yep.
And I'm just going to be honest. Billionaires, one of the ways is how they buy people off. Because when it came out a few weeks ago that the NAACP, under their new president, is endorsing the 76ers, but we have not heard from them about campaigns to raise the minimum wage. So that's part of how you become a billionaire as well, when you buy off. And how cheaply do some people sell their souls?
Just like Girard was able to hide his purchase of enslaved people, these guys these days, they have ways of hiding where their wealth is coming from. So it's almost impossible. Well, thanks everybody, and that's this. I know Deborah's probably got some stuff to say. I do have a few extra copies of the readings, so you can grab them on your way out if you want to read copiously about Stephen Girard.